Can you update us on future NFT utility? I see in the roadmap there is NFT staking. Is that Punk, Epoch NFT staking, or other community project NFTs?
Sure, I can take this one. So the Plonky Pock NFTs will be redeemable for a generative collection of Sauceling NFTs. These Sauceling NFTs will be tiered, and the Plonky Pock NFTs will map to them accordingly. So for example, the Gravity will be redeemable for the lowest tier Sauceling NFT. And this new collection will serve several functions, which are currently in development. One such function is the ability to stake a Sauceling NFT in a community pool for an APR boost. And this APR boost will vary depending on the tier of the Sauceling NFT. We also plan to expand the functionality of our social profiles, in which Sauceling NFTs will play a pretty significant role. And yeah, more details will be announced as development progresses.
They're wondering if SaucerSwap will be creating partnerships with GameFi and NFT projects anytime soon.
Yeah, so we will certainly create more meaningful partnerships with projects in the Hedera ecosystem as it develops, as well as cross-chain projects. In terms of GameFi specifically, it really depends on the use case and the nature of the intended integration. So, for example, if a project would like to allow for in-game token swaps and they want to interface with our protocol, then this would be something that we would collaborate with them on. We've done so like for in-wallet swaps with Hashpack, and there are others in the works. So, it's worth mentioning a lot of the GameFi applications are still, 6 to 12 months out. So from going live. So our strategy in that regard is to just focus on being the number one most reliable, transparent, and liquid DEX on Hedera, so that the option to integrate with our contracts is a no-brainer. As for NFT projects, we have already collaborated with a few with regards to support for their fungible tokens. But if Joseph mentioned before, we have a pretty large-scale endeavor in development, which will be the upcoming Sauceling series. This is under active development, and it will involve several of the most prominent NFT projects in the ecosystem. And this isn't going to just be realized as a co-promoted giveaway on Twitter, but it's going to be more involved and meaningful than that. We're interested in true collaborations that involve real work and a real value add for both the projects and the users who get involved. So I guess I would conclude by saying that, when it comes to partnerships, we make sure that any partnership we engage in is a meaningful one. For example, our partnership with Headstarter is pretty far reaching. We have integrations such as Project Sentinel, which is now live, community pools, which is on our roadmap, and some other vertical integrations that provide real value to both projects building on Hedera and the users who interact with the DeFi and GameFi and NFT ecosystem at large.
He's wondering if the single-sided staking audit has moved past the first review stage.
Yeah, so we were initially slated to receive the report for single-sided staking by October 19th. Hacken then pushed the delivery of the initial report by 3 business days, which lands on October 24th, this coming Monday. So once we receive that report on Monday, we'll immediately just jump into any remediation if necessary. And the goal for us is to resubmit by the end of next week. We have up to 10 days after we receive that initial report to resubmit, but we're aiming for end of next week. And then once we do resubmit, Hacken will then have 3 to 5 business days to deliver our final report, which will then be published for the community to see. And then we're off to the races with mainnet testing before we go to production with single-sided staking.
If you have LP tokens with HBAR in them, do you still get the native staking rewards?
So HBAR native staking rewards go only to the DAO treasury and Infinity pool after being converted to sauce. Once in the Infinity pool, they increase the ratio of sauce to X sauce, thereby increasing the value of each X sauce holder's share of the pool. X sauce holders realize this value upon redeeming their X sauce for sauce. So with that being said, the HBAR native staking revenue stream is positioned to indirectly benefit liquidity farmers, as sauce emissions are their primary incentive.
Will you add smaller timeframe candlestick charts to the analytics page?
Yes, we have been making significant improvements to our backend infrastructure to support better data for our users. So we are currently recording data every minute, thus have the ability to display shorter time frame candlestick charts. So you can expect 5-minute candlestick charts in addition to the hourly and daily charts, all with open, high, low, close. And we would like to eventually integrate with TradingView to unlock more advanced charting tools such as technical indicators. I plan to add a mathematical description of price impact in our Gitbook docs. And beyond that, we have recently added the percentage gain or loss on a swap, which can be found adjacent to the dollar amount of token B received. You can also see the minimum amount of token B received depending on your slippage tolerance. The team will also be adjusting our routing algorithm to ignore low liquidity pools. So multi-hopping will therefore not lead to high price impact once this change is made. And on a slightly unrelated note, we will begin tracking impermanent loss of a user's LP position over time. We will be introducing limit orders, meaning users can specify the price at which their buy order triggers. This is a medium-term item on our roadmap. And in terms of leverage trading, the ecosystem currently lacks the infrastructure needed to support this, and our team will revisit the item once lending protocols come online.
So apart from staking, is there any real utility in Sauce? And what is beyond single-sided staking for Saucer to continue to bring value?
Yeah, so Sauce primarily derives value from 3 distinct functions: liquidity, staking, and governance. Emitting the token to supported pools is a liquidity mining incentive, helps the protocol to bootstrap liquidity early on, with the goal being to gradually transition to real yield for liquidity provider rewards. And secondly, staking Sauce is a significant value add, as it helps with network decentralization and security via the HBAR native staking by proxy, unlocking access to community pools, which thereby bootstraps liquidity for up-and-coming HTS projects, and then offsetting impermanent loss for liquidity providers. And lastly, it's important that Sauce be used for governance, as users have voting power in proportion to their vested interest in the protocol. This is analogous to stakeholders in a company voting with their shares. So given the fair distribution of the token and cap on votes, token-weighted voting also ensures decentralization in the DAO's decision-making process.
Yeah, and to jump in as well, in addition to those, 3 primary functions for Sauce that Joseph just enumerated, we're also developing some other utilities for the Sauce token, which involve integrations with other protocols, building on Hedera. So this will allow for Sauce to not only be used on our DEX, but also throughout the ecosystem. That's part of our vision for the Sauce token in the medium term. And lastly, I would also mention that, as alluded to on an interview with the HBAR Bull around the time of our launch, we have a couple ideas for the Sauce token's role, specifically as it relates to the operations of our DEX, that, to our knowledge, don't have precedent. So this form of utility is a bit further away, but I did want to mention it just to illustrate that we have a long-term vision for the Sauce token's evolution. There are a handful of initiatives that we have been working on more or less in stealth mode. And these range from some miscellaneous improvements to our UI UX, and some of those have been hinted at, some have not. And on the other side of that gamut is full-blown integrations that are designed to take the ecosystem to a new level of interoperability. And we haven't alluded to this integration yet. Whether this one and others, which are not as ambitious, will be ready in Q4, remains to be seen. There are several moving parts and several teams involved, so we'll move as quickly as we can. But when we have more concrete details to share, we'll announce what we've been working on, kind of behind the curtains. And I think everyone's going to love to hear about that integration. It might be Q4, and it might be in the new year. But yeah, stay tuned.